Okay, so here's the first of several cringeworthy videos where I'm going to be coming to you straight from my house to go over some of the things that we talked about or need to talk about. Specifically, in this time, the study questions that went up yesterday that you guys were supposed to answer. I don't even know where I'm supposed to be looking. I don't know where my camera is. So if I'm not looking at you, I apologize. So the questions from Act 3, Scene 1, this is what you need to do. You need to look at these over again. So the first question was, Mercutio tries to provoke Tybalt into a fight. Why doesn't Tybalt want to fight him? And it gave you the specific line number. So the line number was the line, well, peace be with you, sir. Here comes my man. When he says, here comes my man, that is right after Romeo has entered the scene. So the reason he doesn't want to fight him being Mercutio, is the fact that Romeo has just shown up, and that's who he's really after. So think of all the previous scenes where we talked about the fact that Tybalt has sent a challenge to Romeo, threatening him, saying he wants to fight him in a duel, so on and so forth. But here's that moment. He has now found Romeo, and instead of Mercutio, he's saying, peace be with you, sir, here comes my man, meaning Romeo. So the reason he doesn't want to fight him, the answer to question number one is, because now the guy he wants to fight has shown up. He has no interest in Mercutio anymore. He's after Romeo. Question number two. After Tybalt insults Romeo, Romeo responds, explain the lines. What is the reason Romeo has for ignoring the insult? So the response is, the reason I have to love thee doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. Villain am I none, therefore farewell, I see thou knowest me not. So the reason that I have to love thee is you, the reason I have to love you doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. In other words, the reason that I have to love you excuses the rage I should feel. So all of this, look, I have the regular copy. That's all I have. I don't have the parallel text at home. But you guys all have the parallel text. So for those of you who got some of these questions wrong, you need to take the time to read the parallel text. The answers are there for you. And then when we do the live chats, which we won't do every day, but we'll do sometimes, when we do the live chats like we did this morning, I kept reiterating, anybody have any questions? Now's the time to ask. And a lot of people just kind of wanted to goof around instead. So make sure you're asking clarifying questions, because the answer to that question is there, and you could have asked it today and gotten the correct answer. So the next one asks about dramatic irony. We talked a little bit about this in the Google chat this morning. The dramatic irony issue there is the fact that we know what's going on and nobody else in the scene knows other than Romeo. So what I mean by that is Romeo knows that he's married. Romeo knows the reason why he's talking about the love he has for Tybalt is because they're family now. Romeo and Tybalt are now related because he's married into Juliet's family. Tybalt doesn't know it. Mercutio doesn't know it. So when Mercutio picks the fight, he wouldn't pick the fight if he knew what we knew. Tybalt wouldn't necessarily do what he does if he knew what we knew. And so what you start to have here is a disconnect between what the audience knows and what the characters on stage know. And so the character on stage are doing things that they wouldn't do if they had the information that the audience had. That's the issue at play. Which brings us to number 4. Why does Romeo's answer to Tybalt's insult upset Mercutio? What does he think he's doing? He says, "O calm, dishonorable, vile submission." We had this question in the chat. Alex asked it, I answered it, and some of you took advantage of that and corrected your answers. Some of you did not. This is going to be an important thing for everybody to understand. Because we're learning remotely, you guys are going to have to take responsibility for asking questions when you have confusion and making sure you get those answers right. But the idea there is submission. What does it mean to submit? Mason, you're a wrestler. You know, people wrestle. What does it mean to submit? It means to give in. And so to give up, to tap out. And so that's what he thinks he's doing. He thinks he's being submissive and giving in to Tybalt. And he doesn't like that fact, which is why he then jumps in to pick the fight on his friend's behalf. Question number 5, Romeo tries to stop Mercutio and Tybalt from fighting. The main reason he gives is the prince expressly hath forbid this bandying in Verona streets. A reference to the previous dictate that the prince has put out there about not fighting in Verona streets. And, you know, if ever you disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace, that whole thing. Question number 6, line 94, Mercutio repeats the same statement. So we talked about this during Google Chats as well today. The line is a plague on both your houses. So the reason he said that's basically a curse on both houses. Like, I wish a plague on, I hope a plague comes and gets both of your houses. The reason he's saying both of your houses, he's talking about Tybalt and the Capulet side and Romeo and the Mercutio side, and how their stupid feud between is what got Mercutio mixed up in this and ended up in Mercutio's death. So he keeps repeating the phrase, a plague on both your houses, and it's a way for him to condemn both sides. What does Romeo mean when he says 118 through 120? So I was a little lenient on this one on the thing, because I'm not sure if you guys, for whatever reason, might have different line numbers. I'll start fixing that with the next thing that we post, but the line is, "O sweet Juliet, thy beauty hath made me effeminate, and in my temper softened valor's steel." So your beauty has made me effeminate and softened valor's steel. Effeminate means ladylike. This is using the stereotypes of the time that girls are not tough and men are supposed to be tough. He's basically saying, you made me act in a womanly way because of the fact that I'm in love with you. I didn't fight Tybalt the way I should have, and a result of me not fighting Tybalt the way I should have is now my friend is dead. People did better, for the most part, on the next 3 questions, the last 3 questions. What reasoning does Lady Capulet use in begging the prince for vengeance for Tybalt's death? Well, that's simple. Tybalt was killed by Romeo, and the punishment for killing someone is supposed to be death. So she says, well, Romeo killed Tybalt, Romeo should be killed. Lord Capulet, question number 9, counters that by saying, well, hold on a second. The punishment for killing Mercutio should have been death. So Tybalt should have died, and that's basically all Romeo did, so fair's fair. Which is an interesting argument, but that's what he's saying. And then the prince's decree, what are the reasons he gives for making it? So that's at the end of the scene. When he says, immediately we do exile him hence, I have an interest in your heart's proceeding, my blood for your rude brawls doth lie a bleeding. But I'll immerse you with so strong a fine that you shall all repent this loss of mine. I will be deaf to pleading and excuses, nor tears nor prayers shall purchase out abuses, therefore use none. Let Romeo hence in haste, else when he is found, that hour is his last. So the idea here is, he could technically sentence Romeo to death. But his logic is, look, we've already lost 2 people. Tybalt and Mercutio are both already dead. So what is the point now of me killing someone else? He asks the question at one point, Romeo slew him, he slew Mercutio, who now the price of his dear blood doth owe? So like, what's the point here? Why are we going to just kill more people? We've already had enough people killed. So that's where we're at. It's a good idea to go back into those documents that I've returned to you and fix up those answers, get them straightened out, and we will go on from there. All right, take care. Bye.